I wanted to give you, Yasmin, a chance since you weren't on the show yesterday. If you wanted to respond at all to what happened, or you sort of referenced some of the ridiculous cover for the white supremacists. We're gonna have a bit more on that yesterday, but I did want your general thoughts if you wanted to provide any.
It's loaded, It reminds me of a conversation that I had with a friend of mine, and he is just for context, he's a conservative white male. He has a good job, all these things. And politics for him was always just like a fun thing that he could discuss with me because he knew that he and I had very differing opinions on it. And one day we went out to lunch, and it was the weekend of the Charlottesville riot, everything that was going on in Charlottesville, so a couple of years ago. And I was very distressed about everything I was seeing in the news, and it hurt, at a core level, it hurt to see what was happening. And my friend at lunch, he just casually brought it up. He's like, "Hey, what's going on in Charlottesville?" Not really understanding that I would have a different view or opinion on it, And then he tried to throw out one of those lines like, "Oh, well, don't you think there's like racism against white people?" And I was like, where do you even start to address these issues? And I was like, well, if white people are looking for sympathy from all these other groups that they've demonized throughout history over the course of time, every minority group has experienced this kind of discrimination and racism and attacks against them because of white supremacy, right? So if you're trying to make that argument, who are you looking for sympathy from? The Black people that you enslaved, or the brown people that you called terrorists, or the Mexicans that you called rapists, or now the Asian Americans who you're blaming a pandemic on, and you've previously put them in internment camps just because they look kind of Japanese, So it's the same thing over and over again. It's very distressing to see. It's very distressing, even more so, I think, to see that the narrative doesn't change. They just keep repeating it. Rinse, wash, whatever the idiom is, So it's the same thing over and over again. Nothing changes, and we've been dealing with this. I'm 32 years old. My whole life, I've been seeing this pattern play out. And every time it's, oh, we'll talk about it later. 32 years later, we still haven't talked about it. We haven't addressed it. And the people who are perpetuating the racism are not being held accountable for it. They're almost not even being expected to be held accountable for it. And then the onus is on the victims to kind of assert that this even is a problem and get the perpetrators to acknowledge it and like look at us like we're people, It's very sad to see. It also was very predictable. We saw it coming a mile away whenever Trump refused to call it the coronavirus. He called it the China virus. He did that very deliberately. He knew what he was doing. We all knew what the effect was going to be. And now we're seeing it play out, and it's very sad.
Totally. Yeah. And in terms of, I can't speak for the individual friend that you have, but that impulse to be like, well, isn't there racism against white men too? On its face, that's obviously incredibly frustrating and a big waste of time. But it's not even an honest question. Like the question is phrased as if it's a regular what about, which is, okay, so you've raised something, but I want to raise something too. But that's not even normally what it is. What percentage of the people who say that in the end don't believe that other kinds of racism exist at all? Like they say you can be racist against white people, but they don't think that you can be racist against Black people or brown people or anyone. So anyway, that's incredibly frustrating, and sort of to your point, we could see it coming a mile away. Every element about this, the violence, and then basically every wrinkle in the conversation that will take place about it. And in just a few minutes, we're actually going to turn to some of those wrinkles, unfortunately.
For more political news breakdowns, interviews, stories of activism, and me trying my hardest to care about the occasional big celebrity news story, subscribe to our YouTube channel at youtube.com/thedamagereport. And you can ring the bell wherever it is so you don't miss anything.